Greetings, Rebel fans. My name is Jason Kelly, and this is the Let's Run podcast. I want to welcome you all to the show today as we're kind of in uncharted territory right now. The Running Rebels are in Laramie, Wyoming, taking on the Wyoming Cowboys in what could be a revenge matchup against the Wyoming Cowboys that came to the Thomas and Mack, and for the first time since 2003, defeated the Runnin' Rebels. That game was on Tuesday, January the 21st. UNLV had just been coming off of two great wins against Utah State and San Diego State, but ultimately in front of a meager home crowd fell to the Wyoming Cowboys 63-61, where DJ had a chance to tie the game and send it into overtime with a pretty open baseline shot, but missed it. So the Runnin' Rebels are coming off of a really disheartening home loss. We have a lame duck head coach. If you weren't aware, like I said on my previous show, it's over for Kevin Kruger. He's done. I would not expect any sort of announcement from the school before the season ends. I would be okay with an announcement before the conference tournament, but Kevin Kruger is all but gone. He's a walking corpse as a head coach right now, which is unfortunate and it's really sad. But, I would just tell fans that, be angry about it, express your displeasure. But, Kevin Kruger is certainly getting his fair share of criticism from inside UNLV, from his coaching staff, from his players. The guy has no shortage of criticism being thrown at him right now. So be measured, with what you say, but say whatever you want. But I would just say, be measured because the guy's really getting it handed to him right now, and deservedly so. I mean, he's making the big bucks. He's the head coach. Certainly, you expect when you have a team that is currently has a losing record at 11-12 and 5-7 in conference, who's coming off of 5 straight losses, you're going to expect some big criticism. So what can we expect from this Wyoming game today? Let's jump into KenPom. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the matchups. Just because Kevin Kruger is gone and the season is kind of really on its last legs, that does not mean that the Let's Run podcast will stop covering the team. It does not mean that I will not cover every game like I would any other. So let's dive into this one. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the matchups, and let's see if the Rebels can get revenge in Laramie. Because even though Kevin Kruger's gone, we obviously still want the Rebels to win. Hello, Drew. Shout out to Drew. Appreciate you, brother. The season can't end soon enough. Before I get into the stats, I guess I'll say this. Yes, I want Kevin Kruger to be gone, and I want the season to be done in a certain sense. But I still love watching Runnin' Rebel hoops, and once it's over, it's over. I have to wait 8 months to watch it again. So, yes, the season can't end soon enough because we can't wait for Kevin Kruger to be gone. But there are still a bunch of guys on this team that I really like and support. And so I'm going to try and enjoy it while we can. We only have 8 games left. And once it's over, it's over. And we have to wait 6 months for football. So enjoy it while you can. BYU and LV fan, appreciate your brother, says we're going to a movie instead of watching this train wreck. BYU game later today. Can't blame me for that. Obviously, some fans are going to check out. We're probably going to see some lower numbers, at least until for the show in terms of viewership, at least until Kevin's gone, which is expected, and that's totally fine. It's not going to stop how I cover the team. And I think I said hi to Drew already. So, all right, let's dive into the matchup and let's look at the team that we're playing. This Wyoming team. So Wyoming is coming off of. I want to see, who did Wyoming just play? I believe Wyoming just played. Okay, Wyoming just played Utah State at home. They put up a pretty good fight. They lost 71-67. It was a game where Wyoming had a lead for a lot of it, but ultimately just kind of came up short. Utah State's been winning a lot of games like that. They're a tough team to beat. They're really efficient. They're tough. They're well coached. But Wyoming gave them all they could handle. I think UNLV. I don't know what the line is. Do you guys know what the line is for this game? I should probably know that ahead of time, to be honest with you. Basketball spread. I think it's Wyoming by 1. I'm seeing UNLV 2.5. So 2.5. There you go. Thanks, Blair. Um, Ken Palm has this game projected as a 1 point UNLV win with a 51% chance of UNLV winning and a 49% chance of UNLV losing. So Ken Palm and really even the Las Vegas books have this game as a complete and total toss up. Looking at Wyoming, the reason why UNLV lost to Wyoming in our last game against them was because Wyoming hit a bunch of threes. They were 14 of 28 from the 3 point line, 50%. Kevin Kruger and the staff schematically chose to leave wing 3 pointers wide open, and decided we're going to shut down the inside of the paint. And that strategy ended up biting them in the butt, and they ended up losing. So certainly, this Wyoming team is not an offensive juggernaut. They have the 219th ranked offense in the country. 3 point percentage wise, they shoot it okay. They 35% as a team. That's good for 86th in the country, but it's inconsistent. That includes all of their games against lesser competition. That includes their game against UNLV. This Wyoming team can be really hot, but they can also miss a lot of shots too. So what I want to see from this game is I want to see UNLV change up the coverage. They almost were running. They weren't running a zone, but they were almost running a sort of zone against Wyoming last time, where they kind of shut down Wyoming's interior game. I want to see UNLV adjust that a little bit, switch a little bit more on the perimeter. Don't be afraid to let Jalen Hill play on the perimeter, which is something that UNLV has really tried to do. They tried to keep Jalen inside the free throw line essentially because that's where he excels as a defender. But let your guys play perimeter defense. If you have to play Brooklyn Hicks and Jalen Bedford on the perimeter, to keep up with Wyoming's speed, then you have to. There's no reason to let Wyoming shoot all these wide open 3 pointers. Use Bear Cherry, use Pop to fend off any attacks to the rim, and run these Wyoming guys off the 3 point line. They don't have anything. They don't really have anything else besides that. Another thing that Wyoming does is they turn the ball over a ton. UNLV can get a lot of easy buckets if they pressure the Wyoming ball handlers. That's going to be a great opportunity for the Rebels to really take over the game, force turnovers, and get into transition. Play guys like Brooklyn Hicks, Jalen Bedford. Let Jalen Hill play in the perimeter. Don't sit back. Turn the ball over against them, and then take the ball to the hoop. Like his 2 point wise, percentage wise, and free throw percentage wise, you have nothing to lose. The only way that this Wyoming team is going to beat you, look at this. The only way this Wyoming team is going to beat you is if they hit a bunch of threes. They don't shoot very well inside the arc. They're not a very good free throw shooting team. They don't really get their blocks and steals are not a ton either. But the only way they're going to beat you is if they shoot threes. So don't be afraid to run them off the 3 point line and siphon them into the paint. If you have to play Jacob Bernardi a little bit more, because Bear Cherry obviously will probably, he's going to get a couple of fouls called on him, then do it. But do not let these guys beat you from the 3 point line. Looking at the Wyoming players, I'm not 100% sure what I know Obi Agbim was dealing with some injury issues. I'm not 100% sure if he's available today. I think he is, though, from what I understand. I'm confident that he is. He's a great player, good shooter. He was out for the Utah State game. I'm sure that he's going to be, itching to get back on the court. Scotty Abube, really good player as well. The Rebels are going to have to make sure that, I thought Bear Cherry did a really good job on him last game. I'm confident that Bear Cherry can do so again. My favorite player for Wyoming is definitely Jordan Nesbitt. He's got size, not a great shooter, only 30%. Unlike, Agbim, who shoots 45% from three. I mean, that's wild. Nesbitt's a really athletic player. I think that he is, really, if the Rebels are going to try and shut down the 3 point line, I think Nesbitt is the player that's going to scare you the most with his athleticism. Of course, Kobe Newton, big fan of him, 37% from behind the 3 point line, good player. And that's basically their rotation. I mean, I know they play Tuoko Tainamo. He gets a little bit of playing time, has shot it a little bit this year, but really doesn't shoot very much. This Wyoming team they're not great. They're not very good. They're mediocre. They're a lot like UNLV. They're capable of beating better teams. This Wyoming team has shown a few times that they can go into an opposing building and really put up a great fight, like with the Rebels where they won. or like with Utah State where they played them very close. Um, but other times, they go to Boise and they lose by 40. This team is inconsistent, just like the Running Rebels are. So I really think this is a very even matchup. It shouldn't be, considering the talent that UNLV has on the roster. There's a lot of discussion about how UNLV's roster isn't very good this year. But believe me, they're definitely good enough to beat this Wyoming team. UNLV is more talented than this Wyoming team. So what can we expect from the Rebels today? It's going to be interesting to see how DJ Thomas plays. I continue to believe that DJ Thomas is best used as a secondary scorer and a primary distributor. Kevin Kruger seems to disagree with that notion and wants DJ to be a primary scorer instead of a primary distributor. Ken Pom still has Jalen Bedford as one of our primary contributors, which is interesting. He did get a lot of minutes last time, and I thought that in the first half, especially against Boise State, that he showed some really great things. But what do we see from Jalen Bedford? Is he going to be allowed to play his game? Is coach going to allow him to be a primary creator on offense? Bear Cherry had his best game of the season his best game at least since the start of the season, with 19 points against Boise. He really struggled on the boards. The thing that I'm looking for Bear Cherry is his rebounding rate. His defensive rebounding rate is not great. His offensive rebounding rate is not great. Jaden Henley, is coming off of his worst game as a running Rebel. 0 points. He had a donut in the last game. Is he going to bounce back? Is he going to be able to create some offense? Henley has shown some capability as an on-ball creator, but teams get physical with him when he drives into the paint, and his ball handling skills have been suspect, and there have been a lot of issues. Will we get more time for Brooklyn Hicks, a guy who should be getting more minutes? It's preposterous that he isn't playing more. Are we finally going to see some more Brooklyn Hicks minutes? UNLV's offensive rating when Brooklyn Hicks is on the floor is a lot better than with him off the floor, and I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him get some more time in this game. Rishwain, he's coming off of a couple of really bad shooting performances. Are we going to see Rishwain kind of bounce back? 35% on the year, that's not bad at all. Are we going to see Rishwain be willing to drive it to the basket and do something other than take step back threes? Sometimes I feel like Rishwain would rather take a very difficult three-pointer instead of a much easier drive to the hoop or two-pointer. I'd like to see him be a little bit more dynamic with the types of plays that he's willing to make. And I just really want to see Pop and Jacob go out there and play hard, get a couple boards, especially Jacob. If you're going to play Jacob, you want, the other team is going to get fouls. They're going to draw fouls on the Running Rebels. I would love to see those fouls be called on Jacob Bernardi and not on Bear Cherry. So if you're going to put Jacob in the game, make sure he goes up there with a mindset that he can be physical, because he's not going to get a ton of minutes anyway. And I want to see Jacob really use, that limited time that he has to kind of soak up some of the physicality load from the other players on the team. So what do I feel about this game? I actually do genuinely feel like this game is a true toss-up. Ken Pom has Wyoming at 165, the Running Rebels at 102. I think that the Running Rebels are going to win. I do. My predictions for this team have been wildly inaccurate the whole season, so take that with a massive grain of salt. But I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a 10-point victory or so. My thinking is something around 71 to 62. I think the Rebels will have some revenge, on their minds in this one, and rightly so. They should. That was an embarrassing performance to come off of two incredible wins against San Diego State and Utah State, and to follow that up with the awful performance that they had at home against Wyoming was really unfortunate. So I think the Running Rebels are going to have a little bit of a bounce back performance. I think you're going to see a positive story in the Las Vegas Sun. Have the Running Rebels turn the corner. It's tough to win in Wyoming. You're going to see that kind of stuff. But believe me, the team is done. The team is done for the season. That doesn't mean we're not going to have fun watching them. I'm still obviously going to enjoy. Hopefully they can stay in that 6th slot for the Mountain West Conference tournament. You don't want to fall any lower than that. You want to stay ahead of this Wyoming team. And so this game is actually really important for seeding in the Mountain West Conference tournament. You do not want to be in the 7 slot. You want to be in the 6 slot. And so hopefully the Rebels can pull this one out. I think the 71 to 62 victory is probably fair. Hopefully but to be honest with you, if we come into this game and I see the running Rebels, abandoning Wyoming 3-point shooters by design, by scheme, giving Wyoming wing 3-pointers wide open, this game's not going to go well. It's going to be, it's going to require at least a good effort to win at Wyoming. It's always tough to win there. So hopefully it's a victory, guys. Hopefully it's a victory. I will be live post game to break everything down more in depth because it kind of sucks talking about the team in a sense because you feel like you're beating a dead horse, not just a dead horse, a horse that has been shot, buried, dug up, and then it's dead. Like there's nothing else to say about Kevin Kruger. But there's plenty of things to say about the team and the players, and hopefully we can watch a good running Rebel victory. I believe that we will win. Never stop believing in our guys. Yeah, these are our guys. Kevin, I like the guys more than I like the coach. So I will be supporting them with everything that I have, and hopefully we can pull out a fun game. So I will be live post game, guys. Be sure to jump on, leave your comments about what you think about the game, and we will talk soon. So you guys have a wonderful day. Game starts in about 45 minutes, and let's run. Woo! Go Rebels! My blood runs Rebel red. Mine too.